The space station was loud and busy. Thousands of aliens walked through the narrow paths between shops and food stalls. Some had 4 arms, some had scales, some floated in the air. The air smelled like 100 different foods cooking at once, and the noise never stopped. Walked slowly through the crowd. He was a human, and humans were not common in this part of the galaxy. Most aliens looked at him with curiosity or sometimes with something like pity. Humans were considered weak. Their bodies broke easily. They lived short lives. They had no natural weapons, no hard skin, no special powers. Did not care what they thought. He was 32 years old with rough hands from years of hard work. He moved cargo for a living. He loaded boxes onto ships and unloaded them at stations like this one. It was simple work, and it paid enough to keep his old ship running. That was all he needed. He had no family. His parents died when he was young. He grew up in a government home on Earth, then left as soon as he could. The stars seemed better than staying on a planet that had nothing for him. So he bought a cheap ship, learned to fly it, and spent the last 10 years moving from station to station, job to job. Today he was looking for food, something cheap. His last job paid poorly, and he needed to save money for fuel. He found a small stall selling noodles and bought a bowl. He sat on a metal bench and started eating. That was when he saw the girl. She was small, maybe 5 or 6 years old by human counting. She had dark hair with strange silver lines running through it, and her eyes were violet, bright like gemstones. Knew what she was. One of the most respected species in the galaxy. Warriors, soldiers. Their empire was powerful, and their people were known for their strength and honor. But this little girl looked scared. She stood alone near a clothing shop, looking around with wide eyes. She held a small toy in her hands, some kind of stuffed animal that did not recognize. She was clearly lost, separated from whoever was supposed to be watching her. Put down his noodles. He watched her for a moment, waiting for someone to come get her. A parent, a guard, anyone. No one came. Then he saw the other figure pushing through the crowd. It was big, very big, 8 feet tall with gray skin and 4 muscular arms. Knew about them too. They worked as mercenaries, debt collectors, and sometimes worse. This one wore a metal badge on its chest. Could not read the alien writing, but he recognized the symbol, debt collection. There was walking straight toward the little girl. Felt his stomach turn cold. He knew what debt collectors did in some parts of the galaxy. When someone owed money and could not pay, the collectors took something valuable instead. Sometimes property, sometimes ships, sometimes children. The girl did not see the coming. She was still looking around for her family, her small face confused and afraid. Stood up, his legs moved before his brain could think. He pushed through the crowd, bumping into aliens who cursed at him in languages he did not understand. His heart was beating fast. He was not a fighter. He had no weapons. He had no plan. But he could not watch a child be taken. He reached the girl just as the did. The big alien looked down at him with 4 small black eyes. Its mouth twisted into something like a smile. "Move, human," it said. Its voice was deep and rough like stones grinding together. "This is not your business." "She is a child," said. His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. "Leave her alone." The laughed, the sound was ugly. "Her family owes a debt. The child is payment. This is legal. This is proper. Now move or I will move you." Did not move. The little girl finally noticed what was happening. She looked up with her violet eyes, then at the fear filled her face. She stepped behind and grabbed his jacket with her small hand. "Please," she whispered, "please help me." The reached for her, grabbed its arm. For 1 second everything was still. The crowd around them went quiet. The looked its hand on its arm, then its face. Its 4 eyes showed something like surprise. Then the surprise turned to anger. "You dare touch me," it growled. Saw the weapon come up. A plasma baton. It glowed bright blue, crackling with energy. He knew what it could do. He had seen plasma burns before. They were terrible. They melted skin and muscle. They killed. He did not let go of the girl. They swung the baton, turned his body, putting himself between the weapon and the child. He felt the impact hit his chest. Then he felt nothing but fire. Pain exploded through him. His vision went white. He heard the little girl scream. He heard shouting, many voices, but they sounded far away. His legs stopped working and he fell to the ground. The last thing he saw before darkness took him was the little girl's face, her violet eyes full of tears, her small hands reaching for him. Then everything went black. He did not know if he would wake up again. He did not know who the girl was or why someone wanted to take her. He only knew that he had done the right thing. Some things were more important than survival. Commander had killed many enemies in her life. She had led armies into battle. She had watched stars burn and planets fall. She had earned the name, the Crimson Blade, through 40 years of war and sacrifice. Nothing in the galaxy could make her afraid. But when she received the message that her daughter was missing, fear touched her heart for the first time in decades. She was on her flagship, the Crimson Dawn, when the call came. Her daughter had been visiting the trade station with her guards for a simple trip, shopping, eating strange foods, normal things that children enjoyed, but somewhere in the crowded market had gotten separated from her protectors. Ordered her ship to the station immediately. She gathered her soldiers. She prepared for war. If anyone had hurt her daughter, she would burn the entire station to ash. But when she arrived, she found something she did not expect. Was safe. She was sitting in a medical room, holding the hand of an unconscious human male. She refused to leave his side. Mother cried when entered the room. The little girl ran to her and caught her in her arms. She held her daughter tight, feeling the fear finally leave her body. Was alive, was unhurt. What happened? Asked. Tell me everything. Told her story, how she got lost in the crowd, how a big scary alien tried to take her, how this human, this stranger, stepped in front of her and took the hit that was meant for her. Listened carefully. Then she looked at the human on the medical bed. He was not impressive. Average height for a human, brown hair slightly messy, his face was ordinary, nothing about him suggested strength or importance. His clothes were cheap and worn, a worker, a nobody. But his chest was covered in plasma burns. The medical machines showed his heart struggling. His organs were damaged. The station doctors had done what they could, but they were not equipped for such serious injuries. He is dying, one of the doctors said quietly. We can keep him stable for a few more hours, but without advanced treatment. What is his name? Asked. Her adjutant, a tall male named Park, checked his device. Human, age 32, occupation listed as cargo hauler, no military record, no faction membership, no family. No family, repeated softly. His ship is registered at Dock 17. It is old and in poor condition. His financial records show he barely has enough money to survive. Paused. Commander, this man is nothing, a common laborer. Why would he risk his life for a child he never met? Did not answer. She walked to the bed and looked down at the human. His breathing was shallow. His skin was pale. He looked small and fragile, like something that could break easily. But he had not broken when the plasma hit him. He had stood his ground. He had protected her daughter without knowing who she was, without expecting any reward. Said, did he know who you were? Did he know you were my daughter? Shook her head. No, mother, he just saw me crying, he just helped me. Closed her eyes. In her culture there was an ancient law, a law that most had forgotten. When someone saved a life at the cost of their own, the saved could claim the savior, not as a servant, not as property, as family, as blood. The right of blood claim. It had not been used in 300 years. Most considered it old and outdated, but the law still existed. It was still valid. Give him full medical treatment, ordered. Grade the best we have. Everyone in the room went still. Medical treatment was among the finest in the galaxy. It was also incredibly expensive, reserved for nobles and high officers. Commander said carefully, that would cost more than this human has earned in his entire life, and he may still die. Is it wise to spend such resources on a stranger? Turned to look at her adjutant. Her violet eyes were cold and hard. This stranger absorbed a plasma strike for my daughter. He stood between death and my child without hesitation. He did not run. He did not bargain. He simply acted. She let the words hang in the air. Can you name any noble in our empire who would do the same for someone else's child? Lowered his head. No, Commander. Then do not question me again. Turned back to the human. Save him, and when he wakes, bring him to me. And the who attacked? Asked. The station security has him in custody. Execute him, said without emotion. No trial, no mercy. He tried to take my daughter. He nearly killed the man who protected her. His life is finished. Bowed and left to carry out her orders. Walked back to the bed and took the human's hand again. She looked up at her mother with serious eyes. Will he be okay, mother? Looked at her daughter, then at the human who had nearly died for her. Yes, she said, he will live, I will make sure of it. She did not add what she was thinking, that this human had earned more than just medical treatment. He had earned a place in her house, a place in her family. Whether he wanted it or not. Woke slowly, like swimming up from deep water. His body felt strange, heavy but not painful. He expected to feel the burning agony of the plasma strike, but instead he felt only a dull warmth in his chest. He opened his eyes. The ceiling above him was white and clean. Soft lights glowed from hidden places. The air smelled fresh, like flowers he did not recognize. Quiet music played somewhere far away. This was not the dirty medical room on the station. This was something else entirely. He tried to sit up, but his body was too weak. He managed to turn his head and saw something that made his heart feel warm. The little girl was there. She was sleeping in a large chair beside his bed, her small body curled up like a cat. Her silver-streaked hair fell across her face, and she still held that same stuffed toy in her arms. Someone had covered her with a soft blanket. She was safe, she was alive. Felt relief wash through him. He had done it. He had saved her. You are awake. The voice came from the doorway. Turned his head the other way and saw a woman standing there. She was tall, taller than most humans. Her hair was silver like her daughter's, pulled back in a tight style that looked military. Her eyes were violet and sharp, like they could see through walls. She wore dark armor that fit her body perfectly, and she carried herself like someone who expected to be obeyed. Everything about her said power, authority, danger. His throat was dry. Where am I? He asked. His voice came out rough and weak. You are on my ship, the woman said. She walked closer, her boots making soft sounds on the floor. The Crimson Dawn, flagship of the Third Fleet. Blinked. The Third Fleet was famous even among humans. It was one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy, and this woman commanded it. The girl, he said, is she okay? The woman stopped beside the bed. She looked at her sleeping daughter, and for just a moment her hard expression softened. She is fine, thanks to you. She turned those violet eyes back to, you took a plasma strike to the chest. The doctor said you should be dead. Your heart stopped twice during treatment, but you survived. How long was I asleep? 4 days. 4 days, tried to process this. He had been unconscious for 4 days on a military flagship. His ship was probably still at the station. His cargo contract was definitely canceled. He had lost everything. But the girl was safe. That was what mattered. I should thank you, he said, for the medical care. I cannot pay for it, but I will find a way to work off the debt. The woman's expression did not change. There is no debt. You saved my daughter's life. Any cost is already paid. Your daughter. So this powerful commander was the mother of the little girl. That explained why someone had tried to take her. Kidnapping a commander's child would be valuable to many enemies. I did not know who she was, said. I just saw a scared kid. I know, the woman said. That is why I am here. She pulled a chair close to the bed and sat down. Despite her armor and her authority, she moved with grace. She studied like he was a puzzle she needed to solve. My name is, she said. I am the commander of this fleet and the head of house. My daughter's name is. You saved her life without knowing any of this. You expected nothing in return. You simply acted because you believed it was right. Nodded slowly. Anyone would have done the same. No, said firmly. They would not. I have seen battle. I have seen crisis. Most people run. Most people hide. Most people protect themselves first and think of others never. You are different. She leaned forward slightly. Among my people there is an ancient law called the right of blood claim. When someone saves a life through sacrifice, when they offer their own body and blood to protect another, the one who was saved may claim them. Not as a servant, not as a slave, as family. His brain struggled to understand. You want to claim me? I already have, said. The ritual was performed while you slept. The High Council has recognized it. By the laws of the Empire, you are now bound to house. You are now mine. The room was silent, except for soft breathing. I do not understand, said. I am just a cargo hauler. I am nobody. Why would you do this? His eyes held something that might have been respect, or maybe recognition. Because you are exactly what you say. Nobody. You had nothing to gain from saving, you had everything to lose, and you did it anyway. She paused. In my long life I have met many powerful people. Warriors, politicians, nobles. Very few of them would have done what you did. Power does not create courage. Wealth does not create honor. You have both, and you do not even know it. Stirred in her chair, she opened her violet eyes and saw that was awake. Her face lit up with joy. You are awake, she cried. She jumped from the chair and ran to the bed, grabbing his hand with both of hers. I was so worried. Mother said you would be okay, but I wanted to see for myself. Looked at the little girl, then at the powerful commander, then back at the little girl. What happens now? He asked. Stood up. Now you heal. Then you learn what it means to be part of house. Your old life is over. Your new life begins today. Had never had a family. He had never belonged anywhere. He had spent his whole life alone, moving from place to place, never staying long enough to connect with anyone. Now a commander and her daughter were looking at him like he mattered, like he was important, like he was theirs. He did not know if he was ready for this. But looking at smile and steady gaze, he knew he would try. The news spread across the galaxy like fire. Commander, the famous Crimson Blade, had claimed a human. Not just any human, but a simple cargo worker with no money, no power, and no connections. She had used an ancient ritual that no one had performed in 300 years. She had made him part of her noble house. Everyone had an opinion about it. Some said she had gone mad. Some said it was a political trick. Some said humans did not deserve such honor. The networks buzzed with discussion. Reporters tried to get interviews. Politicians sent messages asking for explanations. Ignored all of them. Instead, she focused on training. The first month was hard. His body had healed, but he was still weak compared to their species was naturally stronger, faster, and tougher than humans. A child could lift weights that adult humans struggled with. A soldier could run for days without rest. Could do none of these things, but he tried. Every morning he woke up early and met in the training room. She taught him how to hold a sword, how to move his feet, how to block and strike. They used plasma-edged blades that could cut through almost anything. They were beautiful and deadly. Dropped his sword constantly. His stance was wrong. His timing was slow. His arms got tired quickly. Again, said after he failed for the 20th time. I cannot do this, said, breathing hard. I am not built for fighting. My body does not work like yours. Picked up his sword and handed it back to him. Your body is not the problem. Your mind is. You think you are weak, so you become weak. You think you cannot, so you do not. That is not true. Humans are simply not as strong as this is a fact. Smiled slightly. It was the first time he had seen her smile. You took a plasma strike to protect a child you never met. You did not run. You did not hesitate. Your body failed, but your spirit did not break. She tapped his chest where the scars still remained. This is strength, not muscle, not speed, will, and can be trained just like anything else. So he trained. Day after day, week after week. His muscles grew sore, then strong. His movements became smoother. He still was not as fast or powerful as but he learned to use what he had. Help too. She appointed herself as his teacher for all things. She taught him their language, their history, their customs. She was patient with his mistakes and laughed when he said words wrong. No, no, she would say, giggling. You said you wanted to eat the sword. You meant to say you wanted to practice with the sword. Those words sound similar, but they are very different. Found himself laughing too. It felt strange. He could not remember the last time he had laughed. 3 months passed. Learned to fight, to speak, to act like a member of house. The crew of the Crimson Dawn slowly accepted him. At first they had looked at him with doubt and confusion, but as they watched him train without complaint, work without rest, and treat everyone with respect, their attitudes changed. Then came the day of the delegation. The Mercantile Consortium was a powerful group that controlled trade across many star systems. They made money through commerce, but also through less honest means. Debt collection, protection rackets, sometimes even kidnapping. The who had tried to take had worked for them. Now 3 of their representatives came to the Crimson Dawn. They demanded a meeting with Commander. They wanted compensation for their dead collector. They wanted trade agreements, and they wanted the human. Stood beside in the meeting room. He wore simple clothes, not armor like the soldiers around them. He still did not feel like he belonged there, but had asked him to come, so he came. The lead delegate was a tall alien with blue skin and too many teeth. He looked at like someone might look at an insect. So this is the famous human, the delegate said. The one who caused so much trouble. I must say I expected something more impressive. He saved my daughter's life, said. Her voice was calm but cold. That is impressive enough. Your collector attacked a child, said. Everyone in the room turned to look at him. He felt his heart beating fast, but he did not look away from the delegate. He tried to kidnap her. He used a weapon that could have killed her. And you want compensation. The delegate's many teeth showed in an ugly smile. The child was collateral for a debt. This is legal under consortium law. Your interference caused the death of our employee. Someone must pay for this. Your employee tried to take a child from her family, said. In my culture, we have a word for people who do that. We call them criminals, and criminals do not deserve compensation. They deserve punishment. The room went silent. The consortium delegates looked shocked. No one spoke to them like this, especially not a human. His expression did not change, but thought he saw approval in her eyes. The human speaks truth, she said. Your collector attacked my daughter. He was executed according to law. This matter is closed. If the consortium has complaints, they may bring them to the High Council, but I warn you. She leaned forward and her voice became dangerous. If any of your people come near my family again, I will not stop at one execution. I will destroy every ship you own. I will burn every station you control. I will end the consortium entirely. Do you understand? The delegates understood. They left quickly, their threats forgotten. When they were gone, turned to. You spoke well, she said. I spoke honestly. Sometimes that is the same thing. She put a hand on his shoulder. It was the first time she had touched him since the medical bay. You are learning, slowly, but you are learning. That night found him on the observation deck, looking at the stars. "Are you sad?" she asked, climbing up to sit beside him. "No," he said, "just thinking." "About what?" He looked at the little girl who had changed his life. "About how strange the universe is. A few months ago, I was nobody. Now I am standing up to powerful aliens and living on a warship." Smiled, "You were never nobody. You just did not know it yet." Smiled back, maybe she was right. The attack came without warning. The Crimson Dawn was traveling through a quiet region of space, moving toward a diplomatic meeting. Everything seemed peaceful. The crew went about their normal duties, was in her quarters playing with her toys, was with her, helping her build a model of a warship. Then the alarms began to scream. Red lights flashed everywhere. The ship shook as something hit it hard, grabbed and held her steady as the floor rocked beneath them. "What is happening?" asked, her violet eyes wide with fear. "I do not know," said, "but we need to stay calm." The ship's speaker crackled to life. A voice announced that they were under attack. Enemy forces were boarding through multiple entry points. All crew members were ordered to defensive positions. His heart dropped. Boarders, enemies inside the ship, and he was alone with far from the main battle. He looked around the room quickly. His training sword was there, the one he used for practice. It was a real blade just set to low power for safety. He grabbed it and activated the plasma edge. The sword hummed to life, glowing soft blue. "Listen to me carefully," he said, kneeling down to look at her. "You need to stay behind me. No matter what happens, stay behind me. Can you do that?" Nodded. She was scared, but she was also the daughter of Commander. She knew how to be brave. "Good girl," said. "Now come, we need to find a safe place." They moved into the hallway. The ship was chaos. Crew members ran past them, some with weapons, some with injuries. The lights flickered. Smoke drifted from somewhere deeper in the vessel. Tried to find a path to the secure areas, but the corridors were confusing. He had learned much about the ship in 3 months, but not enough to navigate during a crisis. Then he heard footsteps behind them. He turned and saw 3 soldiers in unfamiliar armor. They were not. Their suits were black and gray, marked with a symbol he recognized. The Consortium. They had sent people to attack the ship, to get revenge, to take what they wanted. And they were looking at. "There she is," one of them said through his helmet speaker. "The commander's daughter. The boss will pay well for her." Stepped in front of, his sword raised. The soldiers laughed. "Look at this," another one said. "The human pet thinks he can fight. How cute." "Move aside, little man," the third soldier said. "We only want the girl. You do not need to die today." Did not move. His hands were steady on the sword. His heart was pounding, but his mind was clear. He remembered everything had taught him: stance, balance, timing, will. "If you want her," he said quietly, "you will have to go through me." The soldiers stopped laughing. Something in his voice told them he was serious. "Fine," the first soldier said, "kill him." They attacked. Moved. He was not fast he was not strong but he had trained for 3 months with the Crimson Blade herself. He knew how to read movement. He knew how to find openings. He knew how to make every action count. The first soldier swung at him with a heavy blade, ducked under it and struck at the man's knee. His practiced sword was low-powered, but it still hit hard enough to break bone through armor. The soldier screamed and fell. The second soldier fired an energy weapon, was already moving, diving to the side, rolling, coming up inside the man's guard. He drove the hilt of his sword into the soldier's helmet, cracking the faceplate. The man stumbled back, blinded. The third soldier was smarter. He grabbed from behind, wrapping thick arms around his chest, felt the air being crushed out of him. He could not break free. He was not strong enough. But he still had his sword. He reversed his grip and stabbed backward, driving the blade into the gap between the soldier's armor plates. The man howled and let go, spun and struck again, hitting the soldier's head and sending him crashing to the floor. Then it was quiet. Stood among the 3 fallen enemies, breathing hard. Blood ran down his arm from a cut he had not even felt. His whole body was shaking from effort and fear, but was safe behind him, untouched. He turned to check on her. She was staring at him with wide eyes, her small mouth open in surprise. "You did it," she whispered. "You beat them." Before could answer, more footsteps came from down the hallway. He raised his sword again, ready to fight more enemies. But it was not enemies. It was soldiers in familiar armor, and leading them was Commander herself. She stopped when she saw the scene. 3 consortium soldiers on the ground, standing over them, wounded but standing, safe and unharmed. Mother cried, running to her. Caught her daughter and held her close. Her eyes never left. "Report," she said to one of her soldiers. "The ship is secure, Commander. The boarding party has been eliminated. The attack was organized by consortium forces. We believe they wanted to kidnap the young miss." Nodded slowly. She handed to one of the soldiers, then walked toward. He tried to stand straight to look strong, but his legs were giving out. The fight had taken everything he had. He started to fall. "Caught him." She held him up with one arm, looking at his face with an expression he could not read. Then she did something she had never done before. She smiled, a real smile, warm and full. "You protected her again," she said softly. "I could not let them take her," said. His voice was weak. "She is family." His eyes glistened with something that might have been tears. She, the great commander who had faced armies without fear, was moved by his simple words. "The blood claim was law," she said. "A debt, an obligation, but you have shown me something beyond law." She touched his face gently. "You are not my obligation, you are my family, truly. My son in all but blood, if you will have us." Looked at her, then at who was watching with hopeful eyes, then at the soldiers who stood respectfully around them. He had spent his whole life alone. No family, no home, no place where he belonged. Now he had all of these things. "I already said yes," he said, managing a tired smile. "I just did not know it at the time." Cheered and ran back to hug him. The soldiers around them pretended not to see their commander's wet eyes. And across the galaxy, the news networks told a new story. A human had fought consortium soldiers to protect a child. A cargo worker had become a warrior. A nobody had become somebody. Humanity had announced itself to the stars, not with warships or weapons, but with courage, with sacrifice, with love. And the galaxy would never forget it.